With us here on Markets Today Talk Back, Mayuresh Joshi and Mitesh Thakkar are with us, and they are taking us through the day's action. We got through 3 of the top 5 stories, so here's the 4th headline of the day. Interglobe Aviation very much continues to be in the news. It's continued its slide to end 3% in the red. It was about 6% off the lows, though. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that SEBI, the regulator, has called the company secretary for a meeting. Remember, the airline is currently in the midst of a promoter spat. Sonia Shenoy is here with those details. Sonia, what are you picking up?
Thanks a lot for that. There are reports which indicate that the pact between the promoters will be checked by the government for any violations of the Companies Act. And if they find that the Companies Act has been violated, then the shareholder agreement could get annulled as well between the promoters. Now, if that happens, there will be a fresh set of complications for the promoters as well as for the company. Corporate lawyers say that the governance and shareholder disputes are 2 distinct matters. Now, CNBC-TV18 understands that the Civil Aviation Ministry has still not sought any response from the Indigo promoters just yet. Also, we are trying to verify if the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has reached out and is looking into the issue or not. But what we do understand is that SEBI has called the company secretary of Indigo for a meeting. This meeting will result in some response that Indigo will have to give by the 19th of July. And remember, there was big delivery selling in the stock yesterday as well. Over 400 crores of delivery selling. So incremental pressure seen there.
Okay, so with that, we have to get a view on the Interglobe chart. What is the chart saying, Mitesh? Can it fall further?
I would believe so. I think, it's been a very, very strong selling which has seen, very negative candlestick pattern for the last 2 days. 1240, 1245 is a 200 average area, so I think that should be tested. But overall, if you look at the chart pattern, there's a good chance that we are looking at sub 1200 levels also being visited. So between 1240, 1200, I think somewhere the stock could make at least, if nothing else, a temporary bottom. So under the 10% downside should happen from here.
And Mayuresh, would you buy the distress?
Well, wait it out, Lata, because as Sonia was mentioning, I think there are too many ifs and buts, at least at this point of time. So I think the next few weeks, I think you'll probably get far more clarity on these headwinds that the stock is facing. And once clarity probably emerges, hopefully in the next few weeks, I think from an operationality perspective, I think there is nothing wrong. I think structurally, I think it's in a very, very sweet spot. Jet has vacated the space, so I think the slots that are coming their way, the expectations of international routes with better margins, and the expectations of better yield movement coming through with control on their CASK factor and the RASK factor actually stabilizing. I think those factors are absolutely fine. I think it's this only intermittent effect that will probably play out on the stock price. So I think just wait it out. I think once the clarity comes through, you'll probably have a better idea in terms of getting into the stock. And if it corrects, as Mitesh is saying, I think the valuations also become a little bit more attractive to probably buy at that time.
Okay, with that, we come to the 5th and the last headline for the day. Stocks in news. Suzlon spiked in trade on reports that investment firm Brookfield Asset Management could be buying or looking to buy a stake in this debt-laden company. That's according to newspaper reports that this company, Brookfield, is in talks to restructure Suzlon's outstanding bank loans of more than 11,000 crore rupees under a one-time settlement plan.
The other one was Bharat Forge. The stock ended at about 463, about 4.5% higher. The group has signed a 700 crore rupee defense contract in partnership with Israel-based Rafael Systems. The contract is for the supply of 1,000 Barak-8 missile kits to the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. My colleague Kevin Lee caught up with the chairman of the Kalyani Group, Baba Kalyani, and spoke with him about these defense orders from the government.
A lot of time has elapsed for any big contracts to come in, but that's the way the defense systems work all over the world. It's not nothing special about it in India. Okay, I think everybody was on a euphoria that suddenly some big orders are going to fall and everybody's lapsed. It never happens that way. I think you need to create capabilities. This cycle is a long cycle. It's not a short cycle.
Yes, wise words. It's a long cycle. Well, among other stocks in news, DHFL rose in trade today to close about 2% in the green. This after CNBC-TV18 learned that the company has been given an additional 7 days to present a resolution proposal by its lenders. Ritu Singh, who has been following this story, is joining in with the details. Ritu, tell us.
Well, Lata, today the bankers, which is a core group of 7 lenders that have the largest exposure to DHFL, held a meeting with the bondholders, primarily the mutual funds and the provident funds, to get a sense of what everyone's views on the resolution roadmap for the company is. So exploratory talks were held and broad contours of the resolution plan were discussed with all of these stakeholders that were part of the meeting, including SBI Caps and the promoter of DHFL, that is Kapil Vadhavan. We're given to understand, as you said, banks have allowed 7 days now to DHFL to come back with its final proposal as far as the resolution of the company is concerned. Do remember, we have been reporting DHFL remains in talks with private equity players for a potential stake sale deal to the likes of Aeon Capital, Cerberus Capital, and now even Oaktree, which could fetch it upwards of 7,000 crore rupees. Now, as far as the banks are concerned, they've conveyed to the bondholders that the resolution plan involves part restructuring, part debt conversion, and perhaps even a new line of credit on certain terms and conditions, including the promoters pledging their stake with the lenders until the execution of the resolution plan. Separately, we're also given to understand that some of these bondholders had raised concerns that they want to be part of the resolution plan and not have to face losses, and banks have assured them that the overall restructuring plan will be comprehensive and it will ensure value maximization for all the stakeholders that are involved.
Okay, well, let's see what comes up and who's buying. We can then think of value maximization. Actually, Ritu has been pretty busy. She also had an exclusive chat with the Axis Bank Managing Director and CEO, Amitabh Chaudhary, and he's quite worried about the slowdown and therefore the need to be very careful about lending.
Generally, if you see the trend in the market, I think some parameters of the economy are definitely slowing down. I think the numbers for car sales came out yesterday and they show a real slowdown. You are seeing a slowdown on the consumer goods side also. The credit growth is also a bit tepid. And you're also seeing some stress developing in the, generally across sectors. So you have to be careful about just being out there and giving credit out. We'll talk about the growth when we have the opportunity to talk about it. But yes, I think I'll only say that we have to be cautious about how do we look at growth going forward.
Okay, that is Amitabh Chaudhary. Ritu, thanks very much for getting us that as well. Well, let me now end the show by thanking you, the viewer. CNBC-TV18 has emerged as the most watched TV news channel on the day of the budget. We were India's #1 choice with almost 60% viewership on budget day. Not just that, CNBC-TV18 beat competition in the budget week as well as with 60% viewership. And when the finance minister spoke after the budget, we had more than 98% viewership.
CNBC-TV18 has been your budget destination for 19 years. The biggest voices on the market, economy and top policymakers were on the channel. CNBC-TV18 actually was not only the most watched business news channel, it was also the most watched English news channel. So once again, we want to thank all of you for the trust and the continued support that you have vested in us.